Other people did not complete the projects. Okay, people, give the heading as servlets. Give the heading as servlets. Open your notebooks. Give the heading as servlets. Okay, so now what is this servlet? Like JDBC, we have been working on JDBC, then we've been working on Hibernate, correct? Now I told you, like, Hibernate is the only technology which can actually help us to directly interact between our Java classes and our database tables, correct? But internally, this Hibernate is also implementing what? It is also implementing JDBC. Why? It is based on ORM, correct? Our Hibernate is an ORM tool, and ORM internally implements JDBC. Just like that. Okay. Is the font visible? Everyone, tell me if the font is visible on or not in the screen. Yes. Okay. Fine. So now, just like that, servlets is the only technology which will help us to accept web request and to generate web response. Okay, so web request, it will accept web request and it will generate web response, and there is no other technology that is available in the entire world which can actually do this. Okay, there is no other technology in the other world which can interact with database other than JDBC in regard to Java programs. And in regards to our applications, okay, servlets is the only technology which we can use to accept web request and to generate web response. Okay, so now what is this web request and web response? Okay, it is nothing but based on your URL. Now what is URL? It is uniform resource locator. Okay, it is uniform resource locator. Now what does this uniform means? Simple. Uniform means something which is constant. It does not change anywhere. Okay, uniform means it does not change anywhere. Now if you want to access Jadhav Pratik, servlet is a server-side Java program which performs all the three different types of logic, such as presentation logic, persistence logic and business logic. Pratik, no need, Google करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Okay, no need of googling it. मैं बता रहा हूं यहाँ पे. Okay, I will tell nicely. I will tell. Okay, so tell me what is presentation logic, persistence logic and business logic. Do you know, Pratik? Okay, fine. So this servlet is actually the only technology which will help us to accept web request and to generate web response. Now, what is this web request? For an example, let's say that I want to access Google homepage. Okay, I want to access Google homepage. So I will type google.com. Yes, this is nothing but an URL. It is nothing but an URL. Same way, if you want to access Google homepage, means you will also type the same link google.com. So is it actually changing? मेरे लिए अलग है, तुम्हारे लिए अलग है, ऐसा है क्या कुछ? नहीं. It is actually uniform. Yes, it is actually uniform. Okay, locator. Okay, locator means which helps us to find. Which helps us to find. Okay, then what is this resource? Okay, what is this resource? Now, in case of this Google homepage, what is this resource? This Google homepage is actually the resource. This entire Google homepage is the resource we want to have, we want to use. Okay, so in this case, or else, let's say we want Facebook homepage. We will type what? Facebook.com. We want Instagram homepage. What we will type? Instagram.com. So these resources are nothing but these HTML and JSP pages. Okay. Now there must be one HTML page for this. Okay. So if I actually want to see it, okay, see, can you see that all of this is nothing but an HTML page? Can you see it is nothing but a HTML page over here? Correct. So our Google homepage is actually a HTML file. Okay. So somewhere there is one HTML file in the particular Google server, and that is being returned to us. That is returned to us with the help of the web response. And how are we accessing it? With the help of web request. Now, what is this web request and web response? It is nothing but our URL. Okay, URL. And what does URL stands for? It stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Uniform means it does not change. If I want Google homepage, I will also type google.com. If you want Google homepage, you will also type google.com. So the HTML and JSP pages are nothing but our resources. Okay. So write down, everyone, open your notebooks and write down, give the heading as servlets and write down quickly. Servlet is a technology. Servlet is a technology that is used in web applications. Servlet is a technology that is used in web in order to generate web request, sorry, in order to accept web request, in order to accept web request and to generate web response, and to generate web response. Okay, so then now the heading has web request and web response. Web request and web response. Done? Anyone problem with the servlet definition? Everyone is done writing the servlet definition? Okay, so now give the heading web request and web response. Web request is used, write down, web request is used to request a specific resource, to request a specific resource from a server. Web request is used to request a specific resource from a server. Next point, write down. The servlet generates the web response. Servlet generates the web response and Shiv Shankar, voice is breaking. Others, my voice is fine. My voice is fine. Everyone, yes. Shiv Shankar, please check your internet connection. Shiv Shankar, please check your internet connection. Okay, servlet generates the web response and provides the resource that has been requested and provides the resource that has been requested as a response. Done, everyone? Yes. All right. Give me 1 minute, everyone. Just a minute. Okay, sorry, people. All right. So now let us see how this works. Okay, how does this actually work? Now, in a real-time application, what will be happening? You will be having two things over here. Okay, first, where is this? Okay, let's consider this is your system. Okay, this is your system, means this is your PC. Okay, so what happens? You will type over here in your system, in the browser, you will type what? www.google.com. This is actually the web request. Okay, you are requesting for some particular resource. So this becomes your client-side application. Okay, so now which particular application will you use to type the link? Tell me. Type a link like www.google.com. Yes, correct. Chroma. Pushparaj, only Chrome you use. You cannot use anything else. Narendra, can't you use anything else? Yes, browser. Browser is the application. Okay, what did we write about our servlet? That it is the only technology which can accept web request and generate web response. But our browser is actually the application. Okay, browser is the only application which is capable of generating web response and generating web request and accepting web response. Okay, so this, for an example, is our server. Okay, so every particular application will have its own server, yes or no? Facebook application, it has its own server. Instagram application has its own server. Google has its own server. Okay, so this is our server. Okay, so can I say it is present in my server side application? This is my server side application. Okay, and my servlets, okay, my servlets will be present in my server side application. Okay, my servlets will be present in the server side application. Okay, so now this is the server side application thing. What about the client side application? The browser, okay, the browser will actually be present where? It will be present in the, okay, 1 second, yes, and here you will actually write the link. Okay, the URL will be given inside a browser. Okay, all right, so now this client side application and server side applications are two different applications. Okay, so now what will happen? Now what will happen? The browser will actually communicate with the server side application. How will it communicate? Okay, it will communicate with the help of web request. Okay, it will communicate with the help of web request. Now this web request, only browser is capable of generating web request. Okay, and only servlets is capable of accepting web request. Okay, same way we will have what? This servlets will generate one web response. Okay, servlets will actually generate one web response, and this browser will accept the web response. Okay, so this is one request response cycle. So once we type google.com over here in the browser, it will send one web request to the server, to the Google server. Now servlets is present in our server. This servlets will accept the web request and generate a web response. Now this browser will accept this web response and it will display it on our particular browser screen itself. Okay, it will display Google over here. Okay, how? Because we are accepting the web response in the browser. Understanding? Draw this much, people. Then we will write about the browser application also. Write this much. Draw this particular diagram. I seriously don't want any photography. Okay, I don't want any photography. I want everyone to draw it properly. Sandeep, your drawing is awesome, sir. तुम लोग ड्राइंग ही कर लो बस, डेवलपमेंट तो हो नहीं रहा. देखेंगे कब होगा. Draw fast. Quickly. Done? Everyone, is it done or not? See, I will not be judging your drawing, okay? रंगोली बनाने जैसा ड्राइंग मत करो यहाँ पे. Simply draw it first. Okay. Now give the heading as browser. Okay. Let's see about browsers now. So what is a browser? Okay. Browser as our servlets are the only technology which can generate which can accept web request and generate web response. Same way, browser is the only application which can generate the web request and which can accept the web response. Okay, which can accept the web response. And okay, so write down, give the heading as browser, and write down browser is the only technology. Browser is the only technology in the client side application. In the client side application browser is the only technology in the client side application which is capable of generating a web request and accepting a web response Written? Done, everyone? Okay. Now give the heading as URL. URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Uniform Resource Locator. Next point. With the help of URL, we can locate a certain resource. With the help of URL, we can locate a certain resource that is present at the server side application, that is present at the server side application. Okay, so now what will be the format of this URL? Let's see. Okay, there will be a certain format to this URL. Okay, what is that format? Let us see. Okay, so first, as usual, it will be protocol. Yeah, protocol. Then there will be no sub protocol over here. Simply there will be, okay, then host or domain. Okay, this is host or domain. Then as usual, we will have our port number over here. Okay, port number over here. Then once again, we will have something called as path. And then there will be a question mark. Remember, we used JDBC : MySQL : /localhost : 3306, then /. Then we used to write our DB name. Okay, database name we used to write. Correct? So in database name, what was our database? Our database was actually a resource for us in that case. Okay, so here also this path will be a path to a particular resource that we want. Then there will be query string over here. What is this query string? Don't worry, we will see. Then it will be separated. Okay, then it will be separated by a hash. Okay, and then there will be the fragment ID over here. Okay, so this is our entire format of one URL. Okay, let me increase the font for you people. Okay, visible, or do you want me to increase? Let us increase. Okay, so write down this much of format for, give the heading as URL format and write down this format quickly. Then one by one, I will write about each and every format for you people. Okay, we write the HTTPS right like this only. Yes or no? Do we write HTTPS : and / only? Check your laptop right now. It is showing HTTPS : / or not? Yes. So that is actually our protocol. What does HTTPS stand for? What is the long form of HTTPS? Tell me, what is the long form of HTTPS? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That is HTTP. I want HTTPS. Yes, Hypertext Transfer Protocol secured. Okay, it is a secured technology. Okay, so now here, can you all notice if you type google.co.in, google.com, okay, this is actually your server host. Okay, so what is the server host? Your host or domain. Your host or domain is actually google.com. Okay, this is your host. Then usually, sir, we don't write any port number over there, sir. How come we are writing this port number over here in the format? Usually there is a port number for every website. Okay, there is a port number for every website, but it is hidden with the help of some technology called as IP masking. Have you heard about this IP masking? सुना है क्या तुम लोगों ने? No. Who has heard about this? No one has heard. So there is one technology called as IP masking. Okay, so we are actually hiding this port number. Even in the current website, the port number is actually hidden with the help of this technology called as IP masking. Okay, so this port number is always present, but it is hidden because of you don't have to enter it because it is hidden with the help of the technology called as IP masking. We are not going to actually get into IP masking. Okay, it is a networking thing. We don't actually have any concerns with that. Okay, then can you see in the current particular link for your current website, you can see something called as classes. Can you see something called as classes? Yes. So that is actually the path. Okay, that is actually a path for your resource. Okay, so if I actually go to Google website, okay, and let me close this inspection and let's type something Google. Can you see there is one extra thing which is getting added over here? Can you see something called as search and question mark? So this HTTPS is actually our protocol. This www.google.com is our domain. Then the port number is actually hidden. This search and question mark is actually the resource. Okay, the path of the resource. Then this query string. This is our query string. Let me copy this entire string, okay, and let me paste it on a notepad. Give me 1 second. Notepad. It came over here. Okay. Can you see this? Can I tell that this is my protocol? Okay. This is my protocol. Now, this much is actually what? My domain and port number. Okay, the port number is hidden. Don't worry about it. Okay. Then, if you see, this is actually my path to resource. Okay. Then this much. Okay. Can you find out the hash over here? Please try to find out the hash, anyone? The hash, is it visible? No. Okay. No issues. So actually hash is not there over here. Not a problem. But can you see this and everywhere? And everywhere. Okay. So this entire thing as of now is actually our query string. Okay. This entire thing is our query string. And as of now, there is no fragment ID. Okay. Don't worry. I'll tell you what is that fragment ID also. So this particular thing is what is our query string. And every now and then you can see there is one and particular symbol over there. Okay. And every time between these ands, can you see there is a key value pair? Q equals Google, then SX SRF equals this value, then source equals HP, and EI equals something like till here. Where is it? It is still here. Okay, it is still here. So now what is this? It is actually a key value pair. Okay, now let's say you are on facebook.com. Okay, you are on facebook.com. So what will you get over there? So now that query string is very huge. I will not type that. Okay, but that path is actually what? Search. Okay, and then there is Q equals Google and something SX SRF equals, then okay, something is there. All right, so that is our query string. Okay, as of now there is no fragment ID. Let me see, can I show you it in some other page? Let me open facebook.com. Yeah, no. Here I will open here facebook.com. Okay, now can you see here this particular thing? I am not having anything as of now. Okay, let me enter something and then notice. Okay, just notice what happens after that. Okay, then password I will type something, and I will click on this login. Okay, let us observe the URL over there in the address bar. It is sending some request now to the Facebook server. Okay, fine. Let's not waste time. Okay, so what happens? Let's say I am actually using facebook.com. For an example, let's say I will use facebook.com. Then here I will be trying to log in. Okay, I will be trying to log in. So when I actually, okay, can you see this over here? It changed to login. Yes, and okay, is it working? There is some issue. Okay, it changed to login. Now, if I actually want to give my username and password, okay, it will be given in the query string. Okay, it will be given in the query string. Password. All right, this is how your data will travel with the help of URL. Okay, this is how your data will travel with the help of URL. Now, what is this fragment ID? Okay, what is this fragment ID? Let's understand. So whenever you will open the facebook.com homepage, what will happen? वो सारा का सारा डेटा तुम्हारा जो कुछ भी होम स्क्रीन है वो एक सिंगल पेज में आता है क्या? वन टाइम आपको जितना विंडो दिखता है, once how much of window do we see, that much do we get over there? No, right? We don't get it over there in one single window. So what happens? The page, okay, the page is divided into fragments, multiple fragments. Okay, one page is divided into multiple fragments, and that particular fragment of the page will be given as the fragment ID. Okay, so each page will have one fragment ID, means your entire page will be divided into pieces. अभी मेरे एक स्क्रीन में जितना डेटा फिट होता है, for an example this, okay, I had searched Google. Okay, now can you see there is this scroll bar over here? This scroll bar. So does it mean that entire search result is displayed in one particular window only? No, the search result is not displayed in one window only. If I want to see the later part of the particular screen, okay, the data, I need to actually scroll down. So this page is divided into pieces, and each piece has its own ID, and that ID is called as the fragment ID. Okay, so write down this particular example also. Write down the example so quickly. Done. Done writing the example for URL. Write fast, my dear dead bodies. Okay. So now one by one, we will write the definition of each and every part of the URL. Okay. So now give the heading as protocol. Write down. Protocol indicates whether the request protocol indicates whether the request is protocol dependent, whether the request is protocol dependent or protocol independent. And it also specifies which protocol is being followed, and it also specifies which protocol is being followed. Done. Then give the heading as domain. Write down. Domain indicates the location of the server. Domain indicates the location of the server in which the requested resource in which the requested resource will be present. Then give the heading as port. Write down. Port number indicates the address of the application in the server. The address of the application in the server. Then give the heading as path. Path indicates the location. Gansham, what to repeat? Port. Port number indicates the location of the application in the server. And then path indicates the location of the resource. Path indicates the location of the resource in the application. In the application. Then give the thing as query string. Query string. Next holds query string holds the data to be passed. Query string holds the data to be passed through the URL. Through the URL to the server side application. To the server side application. The query string holds the data that has to be passed through the URL to the server side application. Which celebrity people are joining now? What was the time of class? Half of the class is already done. Then give the heading as fragment ID. Then write down fragment ID indicates which part in the bracket write down fragment. Fragment ID indicates which part, and in the bracket fragment, bracket close, of the page is being displayed currently. The fragment ID indicates which part of the page is being displayed currently. Now make a note. To achieve a certain resource, we need to complete one request hyphen response, one request response cycle. One request response cycle. Okay, read it, whatever we have written till now. Fast, I'll give you 2 minutes. Read it so that we can move to the next concept. Now everyone give the heading as web resources. Give the heading as web resources. Done? Is it done? Okay, now write down for web resources, resources that are present inside a web application, are called as web resources. Are called as web resources. There are two types of web resources. There are two types of web resources. Okay, what are these two types? Okay, let's see. First one is a static web resource. Now, which will be the second type? Tell me, which will be the second type of web resource? Correct, exactly. So second one will be the dynamic web resource. Understanding? So write down, there are two types of web resources. First is static web resource and second is dynamic web resource. Written? Okay, now let us understand what is this static web resource and dynamic web resource. Okay, let's go back to our browser. Okay, so here, if I request for www.google.com, okay, google.com, okay, it is showing me the Google home page, correct? It is showing me the Google home page. Now, if you type, okay, if you type google.com, will you get anything different or will you get the same page? Tell me, will you get the same page or some different page? Same page. So when I am sending a request to the Google server, okay, how am I sending the request? With the help of that URL www.google.com. I am sending one request from my browser. The Google server has some servlet which will accept this web request, okay, and it will do some logic. It will give me some response, okay, it will give me some response, and that response will be accepted by my browser, and my browser will show me the response. Now this resource is actually provided in the response, so I am also getting the same resource. You people will also get the same resource. Why? Because this particular resource is a static web resource. So the web resource which will not change. Okay. For every request, it will remain the same. So such particular resource is called as a static web resource. Understanding? Other people, good morning. Don't sleep. नहीं सर, सो नहीं रहे सर. यहाँ पे साइड में लेक्चर चल रहा है, साइड में हमारे रील्स चल रहे. Some people must be watching reels, some people must be shooting reels. Correct? See, Sandeep is saying good morning. Sandeep was deep asleep. Correct, Sandeep? I am attending lecture, sir. Okay. मैं पूछूंगा बाद में. When I come back to the branch, no, I'll ask you what lecture you attended. I'll get to know. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Pooja, sir, explain again. No issues. All right. So, Pooja, as we saw, okay, that we are going to send one web request from our browser, which will be accepted by the server, which will be accepted by the servlet, which is present in the server. Now, which request I am sending? Google.com request I am sending. Correct. So it will be accepted by which server? In which server that servlet will be present? In the Google server. Correct or not, Pooja? Yes. So now there is this particular server present in Google server, servlet present in Google server, which will accept my web request, okay, which I have sent from my browser. Okay. Now it will give me some response. अभी मैंने कुछ request send की है, तो उस server को कुछ तो response भी देना पड़ेगा. So this servlet will generate some response and it will give back to my browser. Now that browser is responsible for accepting this response, okay, and it will take that response and it will display it, okay. इतना काम है हमारा browser का और servlet का. Now this browser which is displaying my resource after typing google.com, okay, it is giving me which resource? It is giving me the Google home page. Yes or no, Pooja? Yes. So now, if I am typing google.com, I am also getting the same particular resource. If you type google.com, will you also get the same resource or not? So this means what? The response is not changing. The resource that we are requesting is not changing. Okay, it is constant. It is static. Understanding? It is static. It is not changing. That is why it is called as a static web resource. But now if I go and type facebook.com or instagram.com or something else, I will get my own homepage. Yes or no, people? I will get my own homepage. You will get your own homepage. Will the content be same? The resources that we get from the server, will it be same or different? For your homepage and for my homepage, will it be same or different? Different means what? The content in the resource will change. It will not be same for all of us. It will be different for all of us. Means what? It will be dynamic. Okay, it will be dynamic. Understanding? So that is why it is what? It will be considered as a dynamic web resource. Understood the difference between static web resource and dynamic web resource, people? Yes, good, good, good. I will ask you questions, don't worry. Once I come back to branch, no, तुम लोग 2 दिन मजे कर लो. Once I come back to branch, I will nicely ask you questions. Okay, then tell me yes sir, yes sir. Okay, where is that Vishwajit? Sir, miss you, sir. Where is that Vishwajit? Vishwatej, sorry, not Jit. Vishwatej. Where is Vishwatej? Yes. Missing me, Vishwatej? Come to the branch. Okay? All right. A lot. Fine, fine. Come to the branch. I will handle your missing. Abhi come to the branch. Nice. All right. So now, what you people, nicely you will crack jokes. एक क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया तो अभी सब चुप हो जाएंगे. Fine. So now what is happening here? These two web resources that we are having, that is the static web resource and dynamic web resource, they are different in their content. Okay, if I am using a static web resource, it will be constant for each and every request. But if I'm accessing dynamic web resource, it will be changing. It will be different for each and every request. Okay, so now give heading as static web resource. Give the heading as static web resource. Write down these resources are present and kept ready. These resources are present and kept ready before even the request is made. Before even the request is made. Next point, the content of these resources, does not change for every request. Does not change for every request. Next point, we can say the resources which generate static response are called as static web resources are called as static web resources. Done. Yes. Now write down example. Example. Google homepage. Google homepage. Then Facebook login page. Facebook login page. Facebook registration page. Facebook registration page. Correct. Can you people tell me some more static responses, some small static resources? What can be more static resources? Wikipedia, very nice, Karan. Gmail, Gmail will be static. Shiv Shankar, तुमको मेरा inbox दिखेगा? Shiv Shankar, will you get to see my inbox? Google Forms. Yes, before you make any changes, Google Forms can be one static resource. Yes, so all the login pages will be static, correct? All the registration pages will be static. Very nice. So, one nice answer I got, Wikipedia. Very nice. Any other? Exactly, company websites. Company websites. Correct? Company websites. Now, if you see, yes, job portals. Very nice. Very nice. These will be what? Your static resources. Even if I log into netflix.com, okay? If I see netflix.com, OLX, it depends on your location. Okay, Sandeep? It depends on your location. The OLX will actually take your location and it will give you results based on your location. Okay, so that will not be the same. But if I have not logged into Netflix, okay, for an example, let me show you here. If I have not logged into any Netflix, so if you will also get the same page, I will also get the same page. Yes or no? This is the Netflix homepage or not? Yes. So you people will also get the same page. I will also get the same page. Now, if I click here, sign in, then I will move on to the login page. Correct? Or else this home page is constant for everyone. Correct or not? It will not change for anyone. It will be the same. Okay. So this entire resource is a static web resource. Understanding? So this is a static web resource. Like if I go and I check on Wikipedia, okay, if I go and see Wikipedia and I ask for this resource, it will be same for you, it will be same for me, it will not change. Understanding? It was a very nice answer, Wikipedia. All right, so these are the static resources. Okay, so now what about dynamic resources? Give the heading as dynamic web resources. Give the heading as dynamic web resources. And write down the dynamic web resources. The dynamic web resources are not present and kept ready, are not present and kept ready before making the request. Before making the request. Next point. Shubham, the dynamic web resources are not present and kept ready before making the request. Next point. They are generated at the time of request. They are generated at the time of request. Next point. Content of these resources may change for every request. Next point. Battery charge 95%. Next point, write down. We can say the resources which generate dynamic response can be called as dynamic web resources. Dynamic web resources. Write down 2-3 examples of dynamic web resources. Yes, Gmail inbox. Yes, your Facebook feed or LinkedIn feed. Correct. Stock market websites. Very nice. Correct. Instagram. Pushparaj, you stay in Instagram only. Zomato. Pooja, order one biryani for me. YouTube. Correct. All right. So all of this are what? Dynamic web resources. And why are we actually looking at these resources? For understanding what is a web application. Okay, we are looking at these resources to understand what is a web application. So give the heading as web application now quickly. Okay, write down a web application. A web application is an application which is accessed over is accessed over the internet, which is accessed over the internet with the help of a browser, with the help of a browser. Next point, web application is a collection. Web application is a collection of web resources. Web application is collection of web resources. Next point. If a web application consists of only static web resources, if a web application consists of only static web resources, then it can be called as a static web application. Then it can be called as a static web application. Okay. Then next point, write down, if a web application consists of even a single dynamic web resource, if a web application consists of even a single dynamic web resource, then it can be called as a dynamic web application. Then it can be called as a dynamic web application. Next point, HTML is used to develop static web applications. HTML is used to develop static web applications, whereas servlets and JSP are used to develop dynamic web applications. Whereas servlets and JSP are used to develop dynamic web applications. Understood, people? Sure. Okay, fine. So, what task can I give you today? Okay, fine. So, instead of task, let's continue with some concepts. Okay, I'll continue some concepts right now. All right. Okay. So now, as you people know, like our resources will be present where? Will our resources, sir, can you tell something about JSP? Sandeep, don't worry. Once I have not even told you about anything about servlet also. ओके सर्वलेट के बारे में भी अब तक कुछ भी नहीं बताया है मैंने सो जेएसपी उसके आगे का है डोंट वरी ओके सो नाउ as all of these resources okay where are these resources present tell me in the client side or the server side the resources will be present in client side or server side server side correct so all my resources are actually present at the server side now what I have to do is my application has to be deployed on the server okay my application has to be deployed on the server okay how do I deploy my application on the server with the help of some jar war file okay so there are two processes that we are going to see now okay we are going to see two processes now that is build process and deployment process okay so in order to deploy my project or my application on the server first I need to build the application how do I build the application I will have to build the application okay I will have to build the application with the help of jar or war files means how will I build my application by preparing okay by preparing jar or war files okay now what is this jar or war okay so whenever I have multiple resources in my particular application okay so what will be this it will be a java classes it will be combination of java classes okay so as of now we have made one core java application correct we have made one jdbc application both of them consist of only even our hibernate project all of them consist only of .java files or not or does it have any other files in that project कोई और एक्सटेंशन का फाइल है क्या उसमें correct so it means that our those project dot class it is nothing but a java file only okay Gauri it is nothing but a java file only dot class file is a java file only all right so these particular applications do not have any other files other than the java classes okay so if I actually make one package of this particular files okay if I make one package of this particular files what it will become a java archive or not yes it will become a jar file okay so if there are only java related files then it will give me one jar file which is nothing but java archive okay it is java archive so give the heading as build and deployment process give the heading as build and deployment process now give the heading in that first build process build process. The process of building the process of building jar and war files, the process of building jar or war files is known as the build process. Is known as the build process. Okay. So what is jar file? Okay, jar files consists of only Java classes, Java related files. Repeat once. Oh, the process of building jar or war files, jar or war files is known as build process. Okay. The next point, the jar file contains only the Java related files. The Java related files. Okay. But now let us come over here. Okay, let us come over here. Now this icon, okay, as I told you, this is a static resource. Okay, and Wikipedia is an application. उसका डेटा कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट है? विकिपीडिया के सर्वर में प्रेजेंट है. But this logo, okay, this logo, can it be a Java file? This logo, this earth wala logo, can it be a Java file? No. Then what kind of file can it be? Image. Correct. So if I am actually having different types of files, okay, different types of files, Java classes plus media files like images, okay, or videos or some other URL links, then it cannot be a Java class. Okay, images or videos and something else, etc. Okay, then I cannot actually make a jar file out of that. I have to make a war file out of that, and war actually stands for web archive. Okay, this war stands for web archive. Correct. JPG, PNG, audio files. Very nice. Correct. So all these files, I will not be able to make a jar file out of it. I will be able to make a war file out of it, and the war file stands for web archive. Okay, so making these files jar or war is known as the build process. Okay, so write down the next particular point, where war stands for web archive. War stands for web archive, and it can consist of classes, comma, packages and other necessary web resources and other necessary web resources. Okay, so that was our build process. Okay, so next point heading give as deployment process. Deployment process. Write down the process of deploying the jar or war files you have to write like this. Files मतलब वो file का something. Okay, the process of deploying the jar or war files location means we will actually mention the location of these files. Okay, how to deploy we will be seeing that. Okay, don't worry. Is known as deployment process. Is known as deployment process. The process of deploying the jar or war files location is known as deployment process. Understood everyone this much, whatever we saw today, right from the definition of servlets? Yes, as of now, we just saw what? Servlet as a technology. Okay, we just saw servlet as a technology, but how to actually use it in our Java? Okay, we have not started with it yet. Okay, how to use it in our Java, we will be seeing tomorrow. Understood? What is exactly servlet in our Java application? We will see it from tomorrow. So make sure you read whatever we have written today, right? Make sure you read it completely, properly, okay? And revise it before tomorrow's session. And people, please don't be late like today. 5 o'clock means 5 o'clock sharp join. Okay, I can understand coming to the class might take 5-10 minutes of time. So at that time I can adjust. But here you just have to sit in front of your laptop. That also you cannot do on time. Okay, so please make sure start joining half an hour before, no problem. आधे घंटे पहले ज्वाइन कर लोगे तो मर नहीं जाओगे, तुम्हारा डेटा पैक खत्म नहीं हो जाएगा. Okay, so join before time and sharp 5 o'clock we will start tomorrow. Is that clear? Okay then people, we will meet again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Okay, and then we will see the further concept about servlet. Is there any online batch for J2EE Vinayak Patil? No, as of now, no batch is there for J2EE Vinayak. Okay. Sandeep, nice session, sir. You come to the branch, man. I will show you nice sessions also. Don't worry. You come to the branch. Now, this is my majburi because of my broken leg. Get well soon. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. Now, tata, bye-bye. What? Sorry, man. No issues. This whole week class will be online. No, Rajat. Only for today and tomorrow. Day after tomorrow onwards, the batch will be offline as usual. Wednesday onwards, the batch will be offline. Okay, it is only for 2 days. Okay, now pack your bags and row by row exit. Leave, leave. Join tomorrow at on time. Don't be late tomorrow. Get lost. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Bye bye.